I'm Hugh Collingbourne, Director of Technology with SapphireSteel Software. In this tutorial, I'll show you how to debug an ASP website with embedded Flash objects in both C# and ActionScript. I'll start by creating an ASP.NET website. That's File, New, Website. Now, I'm going to be using C#, but you can use Visual Basic if you prefer. Optionally, you can browse to directory, and when you've picked where you want your project to be, click OK. And after a few moments, Visual Studio creates a basic ASP website. Now, I want to add my Flash project, so I've right-clicked in the solution. I'm selecting Add New Project. I'm going to make this a Flex 4 application. So I click the Flex 4 icon, and again you can browse if you wish to put it in a specific directory, and edit that down here. And I'm going to give the name of the project Test SWF. And once that's done, I'll click OK, and Amethyst will generate my Flex project. Now I'm ready to design my Flex project. So I switch to the Amethyst Designer by clicking the Design button. And first I want to give it a background color so I can easily see it when it's in the ASP page. So I switch to the Style palette in the Properties panel down here and just pick a color that I'd like for the background. Now I'll drop on a button and I'll resize it a bit. And I double click it to set up an empty event handler. And now I can add some code. Using the IntelliSense system, I pick button 1. And I can just change the button's label to Hello World when somebody clicks it. And now I need to add some code to the default ASPX template to load my Flash object. To simplify this, I've created a snippet using Sniped. That's the SapphireSteel snippet editor. And you can download the snippet that I'm using from our website. You'll need to copy the actual snippet itself into the C#, HTML or ASP directory. You can verify the directories using Tools, Code Snippets Manager for HTML. You can see I've put my snippet under the ASP.NET directory. And there it is, Insert Flash Object. And this is the actual directory that the snippet is stored in, listed up here. Now, in the ASPX template file, default.aspx, I can enter the snippet shortcut. The snippet shortcut here happens to be the text flash ob. And to expand it, I just press the Tab key. And now I can accept the default ID, and I can edit the SWF name to match the name of my Flex project, which is Test SWF. And when I press Enter, the two references to that name are automatically updated. And now I'll go into the ASP Designer. Now this is where my Flash object is going to appear. It's going to be embedded in this page. So I'll now drop on an ASP button underneath the SWF. Just position it where I want it, and I double click the button to add an event handler. Now I need to make sure that the SWF that's compiled from my Flex project is copied into the directory used by the ASP project, so the page can load it. The simplest way of doing that is to add a post-build event. I load up the Flex project properties, and now here the target path macro supplies the full path to the SWF that's going to be built. But I want it copied into the root directory of my ASP website. And when I rebuild my solution, this post-build event will execute after the Flex project has built. And now I'm ready to try it out. To debug, make sure that you have the debug version of the Flash player installed for your default browser. I've entered a bit of extra code here in both the C# and the ActionScript projects, so that it gives me something to debug. Now I'll put a couple of breakpoints, first here in the ASP project, and then switching to the ActionScript project, I'm also putting a breakpoint on ActionScript. And now with the ASP project selected as my main project, I can start debugging in the normal way by pressing F5 or clicking the debug button. And I hit the breakpoint on the page load method in ASP right away. And now I want to prepare my Flex project for debugging, so I select it in the Solution Explorer and click Debug, Listen. In listen mode, the Amethyst debugger will wait until an SWF is loaded, and then it will automatically attach itself to it. So I press F5 to continue, and now I click this button, which is in the embedded SWF. And this time I hit the breakpoint in my Flex project, and I can use the debugging features of Amethyst. Press F5 again to continue. Back in the browser, and now I click this ASP button, and this time I hit a breakpoint in my C# code. And again I can debug and press F5 to continue, or I can step into it, and so on. So I'm going back and forth in this arrangement between the ASP website that contains the embedded SWFs and the action script, the Flex 4 application, which defines the SWF that's embedded in the page, and I can debug from ActionScript to C# simultaneously. And this is a uniquely powerful feature of the Amethyst environment for ASP developers who need to use Flash objects. Now, of course, when you do this in a real debugging session, you can use all the features of the Amethyst Cylon debugger: conditional, breakpoints, trace points, call stack navigation, step into, step over, and so on. And we have other tutorials that explain those features. For more information on the Cylon debugger and the other features of the Amethyst IDE, be sure to visit the SapphireSteel software website at www.sapphiresteel.com.